Joining us now is Alan Marsh, a former tour guide in South Africa. His business ended as a result of COVID-19, and it was just getting to come back when the Omicron variant put an end to it again, just in the past few days. Alan, thank you very much for joining us. You've got to be obviously disappointed with how this has all turned out now.
It's a disaster, not only for myself, but my colleagues in the industry. It really has affected everybody. In the normal situation now, we were 350,000 people in the Western Cape province employed in the tourism industry, and 350,000 people have lost their jobs.
I'm curious whether your thoughts compare with those of the South African foreign minister who told the BBC that rather than being applauded for discovering the Omicron variant, South Africa is in effect being punished for it.
Yeah, I think it's disgusting that we were the only ones that have owned up to finding it here, where other countries seem to have not discovered it. It's our scientists are absolutely first class, which a lot of people don't understand and realize. They think of Africa, they think we're a Mickey Mouse country, and we're not. We're quite advanced in many ways. So it's terrible to hear it, and we feel persecuted by it, you know.
And I can't help but think that the worldwide media is contributing to this persecution by panicking, really.
Yes, absolutely.
The conditions are associated with this variant, because you have very few people hospitalized in South Africa, as I understand it.
Correct. In the Western Cape, I think it was 11 out of 200, if that. And when they're hospitalized, they're released in 3 or 4 days. They've discovered that this virus mutant is actually very fast at running around, but the people that get affected by it aren't as bad as what the normal variants have been in the past. Obviously, there's a few people that have been vaccinated. The major issue here in South Africa is that a lot of people have sort of become anti-vaxxers. So there's no shortage of vaccine. It's freely available, and have got a first world way of delivering it. So there's no excuse.
And it's my understanding that those people who have been hospitalized are those who have been unvaccinated. So if you have had the vaccinations and the booster shots, even better, you're not going to be suffering, at least early indications show, from this new Omicron variant.
Absolutely. That's what they've discovered. But the other thing they've discovered, obviously, is been hitting the younger people, the ones that haven't been rushing to get vaccinated, although it's available for them, but they haven't. And that's where they found it seems to have broken out. Also, now they're thinking about doing school children.
Well, I want you to talk me through the circumstances of having people with sniffles, muscle soreness in the prime of their life, putting you out of business again for a second time. Walk me through the first time you were put out of business.
Well, you know, it was a big panic the first time, but here in South Africa, we've been more controlled than anywhere else in the world. We've been wearing masks since the inception. We've been sanitizing and social distancing all the time. It's never been let off, only just recently in the last few months where it was a bit more relaxed, and we had all these several lockdowns. At the moment, there's only a minimum lockdown. The president was on television last week, and he gave his brief, and he said he's not going to do any lockdowns because it was a disaster to the economy at this particular stage. And he's speaking to the public on Sunday again.
So your business as a tour guide was just beginning to come back literally in the last few days. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. I was booked out today, and I booked out next week, and I've got quite a few bookings in advance, but everything's been, like my colleagues, everything's been cancelled.
And how badly has this hurt you financially, the sum total of COVID-19?
It's been a disaster, because for almost 2 years, I haven't worked in the profession.
Has the government compensated you in any way?
Not at all. Not at all. There is no compensation because of the situation in this country with the tax base. There's only probably 2 million people that pay income tax, and there are 10 million who are registered to pay tax, but they don't pay it because they fall below the limit.
How are you able to survive?
Well, I do a couple of other things. I do property management. I look after some houses for people who live overseas in other countries, and that's what I've been working on. And yeah.
What is the general sentiment in your country, if you had a chance to speak to people about how you have been treated in regards to the Omicron variant by the international community?
Well, everybody's really can't understand it. They said, why are we being persecuted when we've shown the world the way? And you know, especially the United Kingdom, who's got higher rates of COVID than we have, and fantastically high. And yet there's been no masking, and they've been so lax all the time. And it's quite remarkable, you know. We don't understand it because we do everything we can, as much as we can. Obviously, there's certain areas where there's people that are close together, and unfortunately, that due to this economical situation, that's how it is, and everybody is absolutely. We can't understand why. We don't really, and we blame it. We say it's xenophobic, you know. We say that it's anti-Africa, you know.
And the timing could not be worse. This is the start of the summer season, the summer tourist season.
Absolutely, this is when it all happens, between November through to April, and that's it.
And
for down here,
yes,
other parts,
your country lost billions of dollars in tourism.
Absolutely.
As a result of the first variants.
Yes, and it's affected the wine industry. You've got to take the wine industry. It's affected all liquor industries, because it's all related to the regulations in this country. You weren't allowed to drink alcohol under the other levels, you know, or buy alcohol. If you could buy it in certain levels, you're only allowed certain days a week at certain hours. Yes.
Is that still in effect now?
No, it's back to how it should be. Yes.
And another problem that people don't realize is that in addition to people not being able to come into your country, those who are there visiting are unable to leave.
That was a major problem last weekend. And now some of the airlines are flying in. British Airways is in, and also Virgin Airlines is flying in. Saturday, Air France is coming back. France has dropped the ban at the moment, so they've opened up, but they're still regulating quarantine when their tourists go back.
I read the account of a young British woman who was vacationing in South Africa. This was in one of the British publications, with her husband, unable to leave because of this new variant. While they're quarantined in their hotel room, her husband was stabbed 3 times and is in very serious condition. She's pregnant with their first child, and they're stuck there. So it's a real horror story, a worst case scenario.
Actually, I haven't heard about that.
Yes,
very strange.
In any event, hopefully that situation will be resolved. Is there any indication that your government is going to expedite this tourism quarantine?
Well, it's not down to our government. It's all the international governments.
I should say pressure other governments to lift this quarantine.
Well, they have been, but at the moment, only France has agreed, and some countries have said that. They've said that we should get we should get money from the countries for the damages done to our economy.
Is there any risk that the violence which has been pervading your country in many respects is going to be exacerbated by this new quarantine?
I don't think so. I can't see that. I can only see if they put strict regulations in, lockdown regulations again, that might cause some trouble because the people have had enough.
Well, Alan Marsh, we appreciate your time very much. You're a tour guide, and we hope that your business comes back, that people come to their senses. This Omicron variant is now manifesting itself in at least 23 countries, I believe, if not more.
Yeah.
It will be everywhere before long. As we've seen, read, and heard, the symptoms continue to be, for the most part, very, very mild. We just hope the world can come back to its senses. But we appreciate your time very, very much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Doug. Have a nice day.